welcome back. The regular podcast is anything but. And Moon Knight finale premiered, I guess, like what 3 weeks ago.
Something
To
like
be honest
that.
with you, and and I had high hopes for this show, Jonathan. You know I had high hopes for this show,
Haters,
man.
man. Haters. Come on. Come on.
I
Moon
feel like
Knight.
we all knew.
Moon
We
Knight
all
was
knew what was
peak.
gonna happen.
We
Moon
all
Knight
knew they was
was
gonna mess it up.
peak. No, y'all are wrong. Moon Knight is peak. I mean, y'all. I mean, just from the start,
Moon Knight is
y'all can
peak.
tell what sides they are on.
Lamau.
The wrong side. Us Moon Knight fans rise up. Because that shit was so good.
I mean,
Nah,
I
no.
like Moon Knight. I just didn't like the end. That's the only thing I didn't like.
Bro, I found Moon Knight so. Eh. It just felt so inconsequential to me. I'm like, bro, I really do not care. I just didn't care at all
Everything had
after
to be
finishing
so
the
high
show.
stakes. It was such a good show.
And it didn't
Such a
have
good
to
show.
have high stakes. I was fine with it being low stakes. I just felt like I didn't get that same experience as you guys did. It's just me. But like first impressions out of the way. Pretty sure you guys enjoyed it a lot more than me. Let's move right into the plot. What did you guys think of this Indiana
The
Jones
plot?
style plot?
For me, the plot of Moon Knight, this is the first like Disney Plus show. Because I remember before all these Disney Plus shows started coming out, they used that term. I think it was first on the Investors Day where they would say we want these shows to feel like whatever hour movie stretched out over six or however many episodes. For me, Moon Knight's really one of the only shows on Disney Plus that really I felt like, yeah, each episode picks up where the last one left off. And I thought the plot, I mean, I thought it was pretty good for what they did in 6 episodes. Like, it drew me in and I was interested and satisfied by it.
My next? Or you wanna go? Or okay. For the plot, I really liked it in the beginning. I just loved the mystery. And I just was excited to see what would happen next. But I don't really have anything too much to say about the plot. The Indiana Jones type stuff was, it was cool, but I feel like it's not really my thing. And then the end just kind of threw me off a little bit. But overall, I think the plot was pretty good, especially in the first like what 2 or 3 episodes were outstanding.
And I gotta say, yeah, like you, Davis, the plots for the first 2 episodes, the mystery of what's going on with Steven, the mystery of Mark, Khonshu, these Egyptian gods, I think that stuff was pretty great. And also the Indiana Jones style episode that they had, I think it was episode 4. That's my favorite episode of the series. That's where the show peaked. I feel like after that, the plot kind of goes off the rails a little bit, and it never really kind of goes back to that mystery side of Khonshu and Mark and Steven and the Moon Knight character. It moves into more of an Indiana Jones style plot, and then also it goes into the afterlife. And for some reason, it just feels like it doesn't really flow together. That's just in my opinion. It doesn't really flow together.
Well, for me, my
Because even in the finale, it goes from the afterlife to the finale, and it just didn't flow, man.
my favorite parts of the show are some of those Indiana Jones episodes that we get in a little bit of in episode 3 and 4. And I really love Egyptian mythology, so I really like them delving deep into the mythos of just like their afterlife, and I like how they tie it in with the broader MCU while mentioning the ancestral plane. And I just really love how there's all these different gods in the MCU, and I really like this Egyptian side of it. And I really felt like the mystery throughout the whole show, it was like, all right, like you have Mark, and then you have Steven, and then you have Khonshu, and then there's this whole mystery of like, is there a third personality, or just the whole background of Moon Knight and Khonshu. It was just a really interesting plot to me, and I really liked it. I feel like I'm biased because I do like Egyptian mythology a lot. And coming into the show, Moon Knight was already one of my was a character that I liked in Marvel. So I thought it was a good plot. It was albeit simple because I feel like it was only 6 episodes, so they had to rush a little bit. But I thought it was fine for being a 6 episode limited series.
Moving into characters of Mark, Steven, Jake, Khonshu. I mean, Jake is not really a character. I don't care. Jake's not really a character. That's my negative. Jake's not really a character. I don't know what you guys hype up about this Jake character. Maybe I'm missing something from the comics, but what they showed inside of the show is a complete what's the word? Dang. I forgot the word, but I know I didn't really care for that Jake character at all inside of the show. That's
For,
just all I
well,
gotta
for
say.
me,
But Mark and Steven were pretty good.
for me, I just like the it was kind of in the second episode. I just like how they did this person with two personalities or more. Like in the first episode, like we saw him blacking out, waking up in different places, and then you had Steven thinking he's the main person. He thinks of it all as just like, oh, I'm sleepwalking, I'm dreaming, or whatever, yada yada yada. I like that, and then they do throw in Jake into the mix, and I do admit, like Jake is really only there if you are like a hardcore Moon Knight fan, or at least you know a little bit about the comics. Like, if you're someone who doesn't really know much about Moon Knight as a character, or just like maybe you're just not that interested in him, you probably aren't gonna pick up on Jake. And from the way they do Jake, I do feel like it was kind of stupid because the like I like the show, but I do agree like all those blackouts was like it's very like he blacks out and then he wakes up in the violent aftermath of like a fight, like it's cool,
I
but I
hated
feel
that.
like that's what they would have should have shown in the first episodes. It was cool because it contributed to the mystery. But I mean, I guess I should say
Mystery
this,
exactly.
but having it that wrap up the finale and being a post credit scene was kind of a disservice to because Jake is such a very interesting character in the comics. But Jake, I feel like he was more there for Easter eggs of the comic fans.
Yeah, I feel like the character of Steven, a lot of people really like Steven. I find Mark better, in my opinion. I feel like probably a lot of people find Mark better. Only because of the fact that Mark's the original. Mark is the one that has the trauma. Mark is the one that has the character development. Steven isn't a real person, but he is a real person to Mark, so I guess you can call him a character. But I mean, I feel like the Jake character, what like you said, with him blacking out in the finale and him having blood all over his hands, they're like, "Oh, I didn't do this," and then he's like, "Well, I didn't do this." It's like, come
I feel
on,
like it
give us
worked more
that.
in the beginning.
Yes, because like you said, it was the mystery of, whoa, what's going on here? Then we get to episode 3, 4, 5, 6. He's still blacking out and they're not showing the fights. Like that's so dumb. And people praise the show for doing that. But me personally, it's a negative. Show the fights. Show the brutality of this character. If this character is a brutal character, then show that brutality. Because clearly we've seen that you guys can do it with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's just my take. Khonshu, he was all right.
I love
I
Contra.
don't really have any
I
big.
love Contra
Yeah,
because like they didn't touch on like it was only for one episode where they touched on really the abusive relationship between Conchu and Mark,
yeah,
and like I just feel like it's a really interesting character because you have Conchu and Ahmed like two sides of the same coin, where it's like Conchu wants to punish people after they've done the crime, which like on one side you could say, well, like what's the point if a crime's already been committed, and then you can see
yeah.
how he kind of just took
We're getting into
advantage.
villains. We're getting to
Yeah,
the villain category right there.
well, I'm not just Conjure's not really a villain, but I do like how they
Not
Conjure
Khonshu,
isn't like
Ahmed.
some benevolent god, and you can see how he really just took advantage of Mark when he was about to die, and you see him trying to do it with Layla. So I really like Conchu.
Well, so I enjoyed all the main cast of characters. Well, especially just Mark and Steven really, but I think Steven um was a cool character, but yeah, I do feel like Mark was better because he has more of the draw to like um towards his backstory and stuff about him. And I enjoyed Conchu. I enjoyed it's I enjoy seeing heroes that aren't really heroes, like just people who think what they're doing is right or doing things because they're being forced to. Um, but I think the blackout fights were kind of dumb, but you know, I guess from a cinematography point of view or a directing point of view, I understand it. I mean, it could have even been like a budget issue, but I doubt that. It's Marvel, come on. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like everything the entire show was pretty solid other than a few shaky points and then the finale. But the dynamic I didn't really have an issue with, but Jake, come on now. That was just disheartening.
Yeah, I feel like moving into the Moon Knight as a character. wanted more. I just wanted more Moon Knight. We got a lot of Mark and Steven, and I think that's great. But whereas they focused on a lot of other stuff, never they never got back to some of the Moon Knight stuff really. Like they never I don't know. For me, I just feel like if the show is called Moon Knight and we only see him in the suit like in the second episode or the third episode and then the sixth episode, then that's come on. I
Should
want
have
to
been
see
called
this character in this in the suit.
should have been called Spectre.
Yeah, could have been called Spectre, could have been called Mark, or something like that. Who knows? I just feel like Moon Knight as a character, man. Just I want it.
For me,
Wanted
Moon Knight
more.
as a
Wanted more
character, I
from him.
mean, like I said, I already liked Moon Knight coming into the show, which is why I was so excited for it. It's just, I don't know, I just like it's a very simple premise. Like it reminds me a lot of Ghost Rider, like how you have this person who's like they're locked into a deal where they have to serve this a very powerful being and just deliver their justice. And while it's not really like the um what's to say the fairest form of justice, just like their justice however they seem fit. So I don't know, I like how it was mainly about Mark and Steven, and I do wish there was a little bit more Moon Knight, but I feel like the Moon Knight stuff we did get was just I thought it was very cool, and it made me excited just to see more Moon Knight. But there
I
wasn't a
feel like
lot
it
of
lacked in that department. The Moon Knight fights were cool and all, but I feel like for how much people say Moon Knight is this horrifying, brutal character, he
dude.
was
There was
pretty
like,
not
did you see
brutal and
the fight that got
horrifying.
cut?
No.
Dude, there was this like so in the first episode where he's fighting the jackal.
Oh
Dude,
Yeah, but
yeah.
he was. Oh
there was
yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whole like huge fight scene that got cut, and it looked
Oh
so
yeah,
awesome.
I actually did see that. But
I
but yeah, this Moon Knight was pretty not brutal.
Cause like I remember seeing somewhere they're like, well, Batman wears black, so then his enemies won't know when he's coming. But Moon Knight likes to wear white, so then his enemies knows when he's coming. And I think, oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. And then from the comments Kevin Feige was making, oh, the brutality of this character, we're not holding back. Oh, all he does is just punch a jackal. Like literally, I've seen that before. Oh, what does he do? Throw a javelin into somebody, and we see them like what die off screen. I want to see him like punch a guy lights out. And like that's what I was waiting for. But I just didn't get that, man. I felt a little bit disappointed by that Moon Knight stuff. That's probably why. But, you know, supporting characters, eh. There was only like
Yeah, then I think about it.
one
Literally,
supporting
the only
character.
supporting character is Layla, and I don't know. I thought she was pretty cool. I thought she was
She
alright.
was all right.
Like
No big opinions.
I like how they didn't make her useless. Like like she actually had a
Yeah.
purpose for being there. Like she had a lot of time
Well, yeah,
on
she was a
screen
big
by
part of the
herself.
plot
Yeah,
overall.
like she
Any
was.
other female would be walking around the house doing nothing. But keep going.
But
Ye-
I like how Layla had her
Yeah.
own part to play in the story and even take down the main villain. Layla was a cool character. I don't know. I liked her
Yeah.
being. I feel like she was a good partner to have pair up with Mark and Steven.
Yeah. What about you, Davis?
Supporting characters I really can't say much about because I feel like that is the thing I pay least attention to. But when it comes to Layla, I feel like she was a good part of the plot. Um, that's where supporting characters will usually shine more is when they actually have something to do with the plot. But yeah, honestly, at this point I just call her a deuteragonist, to be honest. But uh I thought she was cool, but I feel like these type of Indiana Jones type things always have like a male and then a female. So I feel like it kind of
A little tropey.
A little
n-
cliche.
no, it just kind of reminded me of that, Indiana
I
Jones
get what
just
you
a
mean.
little bit.
Jungle Cruise type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like moving on into the villain. What was his name? Harold?
Yeah,
That was his name, right? Harold?
Here.
he was
He,
interesting. I didn't
yeah,
expect him
he's
to be the main
interesting.
villain. Like during the first couple episodes, I didn't expect him to become the main villain. I thought he was.
Bro.
Really?
No, like I
Yeah,
thought.
you're capping, bro.
Well, I
That's
didn't think
like
he
that's
would. You get,
You're
but I didn't
capping.
think he would be the dude literally fighting fist to fist with Moon Knight in the end.
Oh, you
That's what
didn't
I
like
mean.
you wasn't thinking like Moon Knight and him
Mm,
were going head to head. Like you were thinking,
Yes.
okay, he would be like the mastermind, but Moon Knight would have to
Like, I
take care of this
liked him. Like,
bigger
that
threat
first
by
scene
the
they
end.
show him with the glass in his feet, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that
And
was
I like
interesting.
how, and to be honest, I kind of like how his side is justified, except for, whole killing people part.
Mhm.
Like, I do like it is an interesting argument. Like, if you know people are like this person, say this person's going to do bad things in the future, do you think it would be justified to stop them here and now? And then you have the other side of that argument, which was like, well, if they haven't done it yet, how can you really punish them for it? So
Mhm.
it's a very interesting dynamic with Harrow, and I feel like all the way up through those 5 episodes, he was like a good like other side of the coin to Khonshu and Mark. Then having him become like all souped up and fighting Moon Knight, like it's kind of goofy because it's just a dude with a cane. But I don't know, I liked Harrow.
Yeah.
He wasn't some profound new take on a villain. He was pretty
Mhm.
simple. His motives were basic, but I feel like he was serviceable for what he was.
Harrow as a character, I didn't really care for much. I mean, I like the fact that he's a villain that's menacing enough, put glass in his shoes, broken glass in his shoes, and put his feet in his shoes, and then walk around in them all day. But also the fact that he's a true believer in what he's
Yeah,
trying to
and I feel like the
accomplish.
performance is
That's
really good. I don't.
yeah, that's what I
I
was about to
forgot
get
the
to.
actor's name.
The, the
Isn't it
greatest thing,
Ethan Hawthorne or
Ethan
something?
Hawke.
Ethan Hawke,
Yeah,
Ethan
Ethan
Hawke.
Hawke. Yeah, I feel
the
like he was
greatest
amazing.
thing about a villain is that you know, and he's serious, is that if they're a true believer in what they're about to say.
Yeah,
And what I was about to say was that Ethan Hawke's performance and Oscar Isaac's performances inside of the show is what really kind of drew me in, rather than the show itself, the plot, writing, direction, action. And I don't really care for it, but the one thing that I will always say positive about the show is the performances.
yeah,
They're all
that's
great
something I
around the
thought
board.
I should have put in the list for us to talk about. The performance in the show, I feel like this was top tier. Like Oscar Isaac, like and Ethan Hawke, like they're such good actors, especially in with Oscar Isaac in the latter episodes where it's just him acting with himself. And like if you have to think about an actor, like that's such a hard thing to do. And Oscar Isaac absolutely just killed it in every scene he was in. Like I feel like that's got like if the show did anything, I feel like it nailed the acting.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like, what do you
the
think about
casting.
Hero Davis?
So Hera for me, I really did like his character because his character is so I want to say grounded. He's kept constant pretty much the whole show and what he believes and what he's going to do. So I feel like that's what kind of reels people back in to the main plot because there's so many different things happening in the show in the beginning especially. But I really enjoy his character because his villain is more passive aggressive, and you really don't see that a lot in superhero stuff. He is menacing. Don't get me wrong, but in the beginning, he was definitely passive aggressive, which I
Yeah,
thought was extremely interesting.
barely
I
felt
love
like a
villains
threat.
that mess with
Yeah,
your mind.
he was just
Yeah,
menacing,
he
but he
was
didn't seem like
barely.
an antagonist.
He was like he had some type of he was like looking down on him. He was looking down on Steven at the
And yeah,
beginning
a
of the
lot of
show.
time I kind of liked how he seemed like he was genuinely trying to help Steven get away from Khonshu. And I what was that, like episode 2 or 3? I
Yeah, it
like
was
that part
two.
of Harrow.
But let's speaking of Harrow fighting Moon Knight, let's move right into the finale itself. And that was
Finale.
we really didn't want to talk about the finale, but I feel like it needed to be talked about
So
because it's the
I feel
shortest
like from
episode.
now on for all the shows we need to talk about the finale because that's where usually the Marvel shows lose their footing.
Can't
For me,
stick the
I mean,
landing. They
y'all are
cannot.
probably better agreeing, so I'm just gonna get what I have to say out the way. I like the finale. I'll just keep it simple. I really like the finale. There's a couple things I didn't like. Obviously, the stuff like how they really skipped the bulk of the final confrontation with Harrow in Moon Knight just to have it like be Jake. But I did love the set piece in the action. Like I did love the gods just fighting each other. Where you have Moon Knight constantly switching between Moon Knight and Mr. Knight fighting it out on the ground. You have Layla with her Scarlet Scarab powers just find out. I thought it was just a really cool action sequence, and it left. I was satisfied. That's all I have to say.
I I'll go next. So I don't hate the finale, and honestly, I I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more than the others, just because finales are supposed to make you feel that way. They're the uproaring and the I mean, it's a finale. So the fight, the ending fight, I thought was cool, but big CGI monster things fighting isn't really something I enjoy that too much. And to be honest, I wish I could have saw more hand-to-hand combat from Moon Knight, but we did get that like flash to black with Jake, which was cool. That was the coolest one of all of them, I think. Um, but again, they should have shown it. It would have been more cool. But director's choice, right? And then the ending, I like the after credits, whatever. I didn't really enjoy because, well, it'll be getting into the next topic, so I'll let you go, Sterling.
Um, Allie, I didn't like it. I didn't like that episode at all. It was probably it's one of the weakest, probably top two weakest episodes of this entire show. For some reason, Marvel just can't seem to stick the landing with their finales. And this 6 episode structure thing has to stop because it's not working out. In my opinion, it's not working out for any of these shows, especially going into their finales. I mean, the contradiction of this Jake character coming into play when already we've said that Mark is now one with himself, like they explained in episode 4 when Steven got dusted away, but then he came back and now Jake is back too. It's like, oh, okay. And then the big kaiju gods fight, that was pretty cool. That was interesting to see, some Egyptian gods fight each other. But, it's something that we've seen before. And Harrow and Moon Knight fighting each other, I do not believe for a second that they would, in reality, this character of Harrow would be fighting Moon Knight and actually be winning against him. Mr. Knight immediately learning how to fight. Wow, okay, cool. And Scarlet Scarab, yeah, now everybody's a superhero. Now we're doing the Arrow season 3 thing. So for me, man, the finale just didn't work out because it's like, oh, so many cliches. They can't stick the landing, so many plot holes. And then even with the Jake thing with them blacking out, that would have, if anything, that would have saved the episode for me if they just would have showed Jake in the Moon Knight suit going crazy, beating the crap out of Harrow. That would have made the episode better for me. Fortunately, it didn't. So that's just my opinion on the finale. I didn't like it at all. Let's move on to what is its role in the MCU. Like, how does it fit here?
Moon Knight. I feel like
Uh,
I feel like they could really do whatever with Moon Knight at this point. Like the finale, like I feel like the show it was conclusive enough for them. Like if they say they never want to touch Moon Knight again, all right. Like it left off in a good spot. But I feel like it was like it was fine enough. Like they left enough questions where it's like they can pursue. Like I feel like they could easily fit in Moon Knight with the MCU. Like there's so much other stuff in the MCU that just like just gets ignored just because for plot's sake, whatever. Like obviously you have all the stuff in Eternals and how every couple months there's an alien invasion in New York and people still live there. And but I feel like Moon Knight, they could do a lot with Moon Knight. Like say they want to have him go with Blade, say they want to have him in a Daredevil team up or whatever. I feel like there's a big future for Moon Knight if they choose to pursue it. And I feel like it's a good character to integrate, and it wouldn't be that hard to do so. But you know me, I'm always down for more Moon Knight.
So, role for the MCU. Well, so the finale really didn't give us much, which I didn't like. Um, but usually these shows will give you something to show that they will be back. So, maybe Moon Knight will, and I'm completely open to that. I did enjoy the show. I think it was a good show. Um, but uh, they didn't exactly give us a clear, you know, of what they're going to be doing next. So I feel like, yeah, Jonathan was right. They can't really do anything, and I feel like that's kind of the effect of what they did at the end of the episode. Uh, but I could see him doing some team up things maybe here and there, and maybe a second season. I'm not sure about that, but who really knows? Anything could happen at this point.
And
Exactly.
how it fits inside of the MCU. Actually one of the greatest things about this show is that it's distant. It's distant from the MCU. Really, there's no real references to the MCU aside from the ancestral plane thing. So I actually like that. I really did like that about the show. But there's really no telling how this could fit inside the MCU in my opinion. I think it perfectly can. I think this world, if all the craziness that's going on inside of the MCU, giant kaiju Egyptian gods are not far from what they're doing in the MCU right now. But I dare Kevin Feige, and I've told you guys this, I dare Kevin Feige and I dare Marvel to make Moon Knight its own standalone universe, to have Moon Knight separate. I dare them to do something like that. Because I feel like this character could work on its own, have its own universe, and I think it can work on its own and it can build,
No,
to a lot of things. In my opinion, I think it could. But
definitely not.
how it could
Yeah, I
fit inside the
disagree.
MCU. Okay, let's. All right, why you guys disagree?
I mean, that's just stupid.
Like
That's super
that's just
stupid.
like why would they make a solo
Let's be honest
Moon
here.
Knight separate thing?
Moon Knight is compared
You
to
do
every
that.
other character. He's
Moon Knight
so
is always a team up
insignificant.
character.
He is so insignificant to the point where they would be wasting resource and money
Yeah.
to make a
Like
universe
I feel like
solely
they'd be
They
around him.
wasting this.
literally
I feel like
just
they'd be
made a TV
wasting
show
such a
about him.
unique character like Moon Knight and Mister Knight just by not having him integrate with this broader universe. Like, I feel like
Uh,
there'd be no reason
can
like
have
not to have him
have other
integrate.
characters in that universe.
But like,
What?
why out of all the Disney Plus shows, Moon Knight is specifically the one where he's like, yeah, keep him out the MCU. Is it just
I'm
because
not
you don't
saying keep
like
him out
him?
the MCU. I'm just saying I dare them to do that because
Why?
I think that would be pretty cool.
Why?
But to see a standalone universe with this character, it can have its own identity. It can have its own thing separate from the MCU.
But that's basically
Doesn't It's
Why?
not tied. It's
Like,
not tied down by any shared universe. It's
this
not
show.
tied down
Did
by
the
any
show feel
Tiamat.
tied down by anything though?
That's what I'm saying. So if it
So
doesn't feel
it
tied down,
honestly can
then
work
it's
while also
easily.
being
No,
in the MCU.
also if
was
it's not,
Loki tied down by the
tied.
MCU?
Yes, but also if it wasn't tied down by the MCU, that means it's easy for them to say Moon Knight is by itself. Yeah, it may be it may be like a cousin parallel thing, like how Daredevil in the Netflix series was. Hey, the incident in New York. No, it was his own separate thing. Was not connected to the MCU. Oh, the ancestral plane. No, it's its own separate thing. It's not connected to the MCU. We're speaking hypothetically here. I'm just saying. If, I'm just saying,
Um.
if they want to make Moon Knight separate, I would have no problem with it at all.
Okay, let's just act like you didn't say that.
Yeah. All right.
You don't have to
All
act
right,
like I
man.
didn't say it because I just did. But
Cool
anyway,
beans, brother.
conclusion. Moon Knight was meh.
And
Meh.
you're wrong. Moon Knight's the best thing to ever come out of Disney Plus on Marvel, and I'll stand by that till the day I die.
Cool.
WandaVision was
I mean,
horrible. Loki was trash. Falcon and Winter Soldier was mid. What If was mid. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was the worst film since Daredevil. Ben Affleck. Moon Knight's the greatest thing on this planet. Morbius, best movie in the world.
It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time.
Yo,
But
okay,
nah,
in my
be for
conclusion,
real. Be for real. I know y'all don't like Moon Knight, whatever. I know. I like it.
no,
Moon
I
Knight's a
like it.
character that I hold very dear to me. Like ever since freaking I first unlocked him in Lego Marvel Superheroes all the way back in 360. Like I was always just like I'm not saying I was the biggest Moon Knight fan. I've read every single comic run that he's ever appeared in, but he's a very interesting character to me, and I love Oscar Isaac as an actor. He did really good in the show, and I hope they don't just leave Moon Knight as a one-off thing. I hope they do season 2 or just team him up with other characters because I love me some Moon Knight.
Uh, well, for my conclusion, I'm just gonna add a little theory for myself in there. But in conclusion, the show was good. Um, I'm glad that it existed. And yeah, and for my theory is that I think that, well, I mean, I haven't read the source material or anything, but I feel like Jake is isn't really Mark's full personality. I feel like it's half of Mark and half of Khonshu. They've or maybe Khonshu has made another personality but forced it onto him. That's my theory.
That's an interesting theory. Oh, I get what you're saying. Like you're saying, like Conchu added that on so he could
Yeah, I
get a
feel like
loophole in their agreement. That's
yeah, I
definitely
feel like
something Conchu would
I feel
do.
like Khonshu forced another personality into him that he didn't know about.
That's
So
fair.
that's
That's
why
fair.
Mark, he is full. He is his whatever Sterling was saying earlier.
That's fair.
Full, like they said in episode 4.
Yeah, Mark's heart is full. Like Mark, his trauma, he deals with it with by having Steven, but Jake is completely unrelated to that. That's why he's full.
I can see that. That's fair.
W theory?
That's fair.
I
Reasonable.
guess.
Reasonable.
I feel like well, no, you know what? I don't even feel bad about my opinion. I was gonna say, I feel a little bit guilty. No, I don't, because I was excited for Moon Knight. Jonathan, you know this. I was excited for Moon Knight since 2020. It was on my number 3 list for highly anticipated MCU anything. So going into this show, and then after I watched the first episode, telling you it's the greatest thing ever, and then now going into episode 6, and I'm like, I am really not liking this show. I'm telling you guys right now, I don't think that this show was great. It's found it and I really didn't care for it by the end.
What do you think Hawkeye was better?
No, Hawkeye sucked, but I'm trying to say is that Moon Knight, it ended less interesting than it started. That's something that Jeremy John says in his review. Started more interesting than it ended. That's all I gotta say. I would say it's like a good B minus. Yeah, I give it a B minus. A number?
Like 7?
No, like a 7.98. Oh, I'll give it a 7.9. So it's a 7.9. Oh, 7.2. Yeah, I'm going 7.2. Going lower. Like a B minus 7.2.
I'm gonna give it a slap dab 8.49.
Me, I'm giving Moon Knight easy 9 out of 10 for me. Easy.
Sure. I'm knocking it up to 8.5.
Anyway, all right, so that was it for the Moon Knight spoiler review. Please know that everything that we did say in this video was just our very own opinion, and you are free to comment down below. What did you think of Moon Knight as a whole? Are you excited for seeing him in the rest of the MCU? I was gonna say season 2, but there's no season 2. Season 2 is not happening. They already confirmed that this show is a one-off. It's not having a season 2.
They never confirmed
Anyway,
that. You tripping, bro.
Yes, they did.
No,
Yes,
they
did.
didn't,
With
bro.
that being said, guys,
Tripping.
we'll see you all next time.